Okay. All right. So, all right. Let's carry on with the Haggadah. I wanna today focus on the first of the psukim. There's quite a lot in this one. I think that'll be enough for today. So just to remember, because again, the context is always important. That's our goal here. Our goal is to understand the flow of the Haggadah, right? And that's be'ikah what we want. So let's remember the context. Let's just remember what we said yesterday. So we said yesterday, we spoke about you have to mascha b'gnus and masayim b'shvach. You have to start with the gnus and end with shvach. And we explained the reason for that is because the whole nakuda of Yetzias Mitzrayim is the lifting up. That's the point. It's being taken into a new Metzias, into a new world, which is the world of Hashgacha Pratit, which is the world of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's the world where you're dealing with HaKadosh Baruch Hu directly himself. Right? And that's what Avraham Avinu started. That was what the Bris Bein Absarim was. That he started that because he was the tzaddik, and he was the person that was tested 10 times, and he was loyal to the agenda of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu chose him, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu lifted him out from his itztagninut. He took him into his world, into the world of Hashgacha Pratit, and Mela Avraham Avinu could have kids, right? Even though Be'etzim, in terms of his Hashgacha Klalis, he couldn't, right? Now he can. And eventually Avram's Zerah becomes the nation of God. And that's the Bris Bein Absarim. The Bris Bein Absarim is HaKadosh Baruch Hu making a bris with Avraham Avinu that his children are going to live on that darga, in that world of Hashgacha Pratis. And Memela, there's V'hi Shamda. And Memela, there's V'hi Shamda, which is that Klal Yisrael are Netzach, right? They transcend. That's like a good word. And people like that word. They transcend Olam Hazeh, and they live into a world of into HaKadosh Baruch Hu's world, which is the world of Havaya, Haya, Hoiva, V'yihiyeh, and it's outside everything, including time itself. That's the Gra and the Pachad Yitzchak. And Memela, there's something called Netzach Yisrael, which is that Klal Yisrael will always survive. Right? You cannot get rid of us, because we live with God. Right? And that is what we spoke about yesterday. And now the Baal Haggadah carries this on, and he's now going to go into the details of how this sort of fleshed itself out in Mitzrayim. And it says, and he brings the 4 psukim, right? So it says, Se'ulmad, Ma bikesh Lavan ha'arami la'asot leYaakov Avinu. Go and learn what Lavan tried to do to Yaakov. Shepara lo gazar ela al ascharim, veLavan bikesh la'akol et hakol. And Lavan was tried to uproot everything. Shenema, and now, as you know, I'm sure you all know this, that the 4 psukim is these psukim that we say when you bring the Bikurim, right? This is the parsha of the Bikurim. Arami oved aviv, vayered Mitzrayma, vayagar sham b'mtei me'ad, v'sham lo goy gadol atzum v'rav. And these are the 4 psukim that the Baal Haggadah is going to use as a basis, right, to explain the sipur of Yetzias Mitzrayim, which is the sipur that you bring when you say Bikurim, right? And here's the funny thing, right? Why does it start with Lavan, right? This is also one of the tricky points in the Haggadah, which in a way it's not really the problem of the Haggadah. It's a shaila on the Chumash. Why did Hakadosh Baruch Hu in the parsha of Bikurim feel that it was appropriate to start with Lavan, right? To start with this Maisa of Lavan, which, you know, when we read it, it seems like a pretty minor point. Certainly in Yaakov Avinu's life, you know, we you think more about, you know, Yaakov and Esav, and, you know, all of that. Yaakov had quite a troubled life. He was fighting with a lot of people, right? So, you know, you would have thought to maybe focus on, if you were writing the parsha of Bikurim, maybe you'd focus on the meeting with Yaakov and Esav and all these other things that Yaakov Avinu went through. Why would you start with Yaakov Avinu Bichlal over there? I don't know. Why not just jump straight to the Jews in Egypt and Paro? But The Baal Haggadah doesn't do that, right? And the Psukim don't do that. They start with Lavan, right? Why Lavan? So Rabbi Yitzchak Isaac Chove explains this in his Haggadah. He says he's Moiridik a piece here on the 4 Psukim. It's recommended reading, right? I think that's the right way. His Haggadah is fantastic, Samazoi. One of the things that I like about his Haggadah is that he builds a mahalach. It's not just a lot of these things, a lot of these Haggadahs, it's not actually they say, like, I don't know, the Chofetz Chaim's Haggadah, which it could be the Chofetz Chaim wrote a portion of the Haggadah. I don't know. I'm not picking on the Chofetz Chaim. I'm just saying they have Haggadahs from every Tom, Dick, and Harry, right? But I shouldn't say that. Not Tom, Dick, and Harry, because we're talking about Gedolei Yisrael. They stick the Haggadah of Ploni Almoni, Ploni Gadol, and he never actually wrote a Pirush on the Haggadah. They're just taking Vortlach, right, that he said, and they put it together, which is fine, and it's good, and it's great, right? And read them and learn from them. One of the things that I really like about that I like about the Haggadah of Rabbi Yitzchak Isaac Chove is that he actually wrote this Pirush on the Haggadah. And you see clearly that he's building a mahalach in the Haggadah. So it's a fantastic Pirush, and particularly what he has to say on the 4 Psukim is unbelievable, right? It's very, very good stuff, right? So he points this out, and he says a gavaldiga thing. Mazet se'ul mad. He says se'ul mad. It's not just going on from it's not just taking you further to the 4 Psukim. It's actually going on what was before, and he explains this is why the Psukim start with Lavan, because we've just gone off from saying that there was a bris bein Absarim. And the bris bein Absarim was that HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes a bris with Avraham Avinu that his descendants will live with him. And that creates the Metzias called Netzach Yisrael. Se'ul mad, right? Go and see, right? Ma bikesh lavan ha'arim la'asos liYaakov Avinu, right? That here you go. This is the first time, and he says that this is the Maisa of a Siman Labanim for all of Jewish history, that they will try to wipe us out. Lavan was the first Yetzia Lapal, the first expression of this Bechina called Netzach Yisrael, where the Goyim want to destroy us, because that's what Lavan wanted to do. Lavan wanted to totally wipe out Klal Yisrael. He wanted to wipe out Yaakov and all of the Shvatim. He wanted to totally kill them all. Right? That's what he wanted to do. He was when you read the Psukim, he was very upset with Yaakov Avinu. He felt that he stole all of his wealth. Right? Classic anti-Semitism, right? It's the prototype anti-Semite. The Jews stole all my money, and therefore I want to go and kill him. It's almost laughable, but it's not, because it's Maisa of a Siman Labanim, right? And he wanted to totally kill them, and Hakadosh Baruch Hu stopped him. So I came to him in a dream, and he said, "Pen Hisham Elacha, Pen Yom Aleichem Mitov Adra." You don't even say that. Hakadosh Baruch Hu stopped him. Right? And what does he do? And you see what he does when he finally gets to Yaakov Avinu. He says, "Habanot banai, habanim ma'ay kol asher ta'orei elihu." This whole thing that you're doing is nonsense. It's nothing. It's all me. It's my family. You have nothing, right? He totally delegitimizes everything that Yaakov is building. He wanted to wipe them out. Right? And says Rabbi Yitzchak Isaac Chove, this was the first time that you saw Netzach Yisrael being brought mina koyach el hapoel. That Hakadosh Baruch that there was somebody that he wanted to wipe us out, because Yaakov Avinu is building Klal Yisrael. He's starting a new world order. He's built the Shiftei Kah, right? And he's going towards building Shivim Nefesh, which we'll get to in a minute. And they don't want that, right? They don't want that. And Mamela, they come to start up, and they want to totally wipe him out. And Hakadosh Baruch Hu gets involved and stops him. And he was even behind the scenes. Yaakov didn't even know necessarily. I don't know. Maybe he did know. Yaakov Avinu was a novi, so maybe he did know that Hakadosh Baruch Hu came to him in a dream. I don't know, but it wasn't like it was for sure Hakadosh Baruch Hu was just getting involved behind the scenes, and protecting Klal Yisrael, because we live with him. Right? We are his people now. Right? And that's what was happening over here, and that's why the Bikurim and the Baal Haggadah start with Lavan. It's not just Stam, because that is the Maisa of a Siman Labanim for all of Jewish history. He actually brings Rabbi Yitzchak Isaac Chove that it's also a Siman LeMilchemes Gog and Magog, right? That we're in Golus. That's what Yaakov Avinu is going to Lavan in the first place was. It was the very, very, very first Golus of Klal Yisrael as a whole, right? That that they're not, they're not in their own shlita, they're tachas somebody else, right? And they run away, and eventually they run away, and there's pushback, and they try to wipe him out. That's the Milchemet Gog and Magog, and Kodesh Baruch will save us, and we'll come out, right? That's what he says. That's why it starts with Lavan, right? Because it's an expression of the bris bein Absarim. Arami oved avi, vayered Mitzrayma, vayagar sham b'mtemead ve'isham legoy gadol atzum bara. And this is the first pasuk, which basically talks about Klal Yisrael going down to Mitzrayim and becoming Klal Yisrael. That's the first of the pasukim. The second pasuk that we're going to deal with tomorrow is the shibud, right? The third pasuk is Klal Yisrael's hishtadlus v'nitzak, right, that they cried out to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then the fourth pasuk is the geula, right? V'yotzienu, right? Hashem in Mitzrayim, right? That's the geula, right? That's what these four pasukim are. They're going down, and Klal Yisrael becoming Klal Yisrael, the shibud, the hishtadlus, and then the geula. Right? That's what these four psukim will delineate, right? So let's start with this one. So Arami Oved Avi, it starts with that because Vayered Mitzrayma, Vayered Mitzrayma. So he's just literally going to be menatach the pasuk. Anus al pi hadibur. Vayered Mitzrayma anus al pi hadibur. What does that mean? What does it mean that they were honest, that they were forced to go down? So the reason why that's relevant is because, again, the thing that is happening over here is a Maisa Hashkocha. When it's Anus, it means that you don't have a choice. They didn't decide to go there because, they liked Egyptian lifestyle. That wasn't the point. The point was that they had to go down because if they didn't go down, they would die. That's called Hashkocha. That's called that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is forcing your hand and taking you to go down. And that is why the Jews went down to Mitzrayim, because they had to. And the reason why they had to was because this was part of the Tachlis Abriya, is that there should be something called Klal Yisrael. And in Egypt, Dafka, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wanted to create that thing. Right? Why Dafka Egypt? We'll talk about that in a minute. Right? We'll talk about that in a minute. So it was Onus. It was Onus al pi hadibu. They had to go down there. That's linking back to the bris bein Absarim. That it says Yodoa teda gigei yezarecha be'eretz lolahem va'avdum ve'inu otam. Your children. It was mirosh. This was at the bris bein Absarim. This is Anus al pi hadibu. Your children will be strangers in a land that's not theirs, and they will be slaves. That's going to happen, right? It's Anus al pi hadibu. It's a Ma'aseh Hashkocha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to build Klal Yisrael. So that's why they went there. Vayagar sham melamed shelo yarad Yaakov Avinu lishtakea b'Mitzrayim ela lagur sham. They didn't go to be mishtakea. Mishtakea is shakua, means to sink in. Miloshon shkia. They didn't go to sink in to become part of Egyptian culture. Lagur sham. They were there in a tzura of b'diavad. Shenema vayomru el paro lagur beretz Mitzrayim banu ki ein mirei letzon asher la'avdecha ki kaved harav beretz Canaan va'ata yeshvuna avdecha be'eretz Goshen. Right, because they came there again because they were forced. Right, so in other words, they were there b'tzura b'diavad. The reason why they were there b'tzura b'diavad is because Egyptian culture was the total antithesis of what they were about. They could not sink into that thing, right? And the point was never that they should sink into that thing. It says it says it was all Arias and Tuma and Kishuf and everything bad. It was a place that was total lack of tzura, right? Total lack of tzura, and the Maharal in Gevuros points that out, and that's why it was Dafka in Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim was two things. It was the superpower of the world, which is also relevant. It's also relevant there. We'll come to that. The other nakuda of Mitzrayim was that it had absolutely no tzura. There was what does it mean tzura? Right? Let's just explain that. Right? Tzura means this is like terms that the Maharal uses often. He talks about chomer and surah. Chomer means chomer. How do you translate the word chomer? Stuff, material, matter. Right? Chomer.
Substance.
We can say substance. Yes, right. And surah means form. Right. Surah means form. Right. So what does it mean that there was no surah? It means that there was no form, which basically means in terms of what we're discussing over here, it means that there was no value system. There was no higher value. It was all about taiva and kishuf and manipulating the world so that you're on top. It was kol kula avodah zarah, right? It was ad kedei kach that they make Paro himself an avodah zarah, right? The whole thing was absolutely no tzura, right? And that is why Klal Yisrael had to dafka, go there, and dafka there they became Klal Yisrael, like what we spoke about in by Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu was we said that Avraham Avinu. It says that we spoke about how the Maharal's Nakuda on why Terach. It says that Terach died before Avraham Avinu becomes Avram, right? Before he gets his tests, and he has to cut himself off totally from his forefathers. Because what you have to understand is that Avraham Avinu was not a progression. It's not a progression of what was before him. That's not the Nakuda. Avraham Avinu started something totally new. It's the same exact thing over here because it's Maisa Ava Simon Labanim. It's taking what Avraham Avinu did, and it's opening it up to a Klal Yisrael level, a macro level. Avraham was micro. Avraham is a single individual, and he results in becoming a family. Right? But the point in Klal Yisrael is that it's macro. It's on the world stage. Right? It's a nation. Right? It's an So it's exactly the same thing that happened with Avraham Avinu, but now it's happening to Klal Yisrael as a whole. And Memela, you go to a place where there is no tzura, because what Klal Yisrael are building is not a development or taking values and learning from what's around them and adapting and putting their own flavor into it. No, absolutely nothing, right? Zero shaykhus to the host culture, right? They are not learning anything from that because there is nothing to learn. All there is to learn is tumah, right? If anything, all you want to learn from there is to run away from that place, right? That's why Klal Yisrael, when they're becoming the nation of God, they are dafka, built in a place where there is no tzura, where there's nothing. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us to understand that what we represent is something that is above us. It's something from a different place. It's something from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's His Torah. It's His values. It's something from another world. It's not from Olam Hazeh. It's an Olam Haba Dika lifestyle. It's something from above us. So Mamela, when Klal Yisrael is being developed as Klal Yisrael, they're developed in a place specifically where it's kol kula tuma. There's nothing to learn from. They're totally raw, right? Which we're going to see in a minute. The Haggadah is going to point make that point specifically, right? They're totally raw, and they're just they're a totally blank slate. They're a totally blank slate. They've got nothing from where they came from, right? And all they have, right, is they become a kli kibul to be makabel the Torah, right? That's what's happening over there. So Memela melamed shelo yarad Yaakov Avinu lishtakea b'Mitzrayim. He didn't go down to Mitzrayim lishtakea, to become part of it, right? To sink into it, to become part of the culture. He was there, b'tzur b'diavad, and it's liot po. I have to be here for a purpose, but I'm not connecting to that thing. Right? I'm here just because otherwise I'm going to die. Right? But that's the sort of the hashgacha. It's the reason what pushed them there is because otherwise they were going to die. But now based on this Maharal, there was a much deeper thing going on over there. They needed to be developed in a place where they have nothing to learn from anybody. So fine. Vimtei ma'at, right? Vimtei ma'at, right? Kumasha ne'amar b'shivim nefesh yardu avotecha b'Mitzrayma va'ata samcha Hashem Elokecha kekochavei hashamayim larov. They went down b'mtei ma'at. Right? In other words, they went there b'shivim nefesh yardu avotecha b'Mitzrayma va'ata samcha Hashem Elokecha kekochavei hashamayim larov. So here's the point. Right? HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes them from Yeah. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes them from a mishpacha to an am. That's the Nakuda. Shivim nefesh, right? So Bekitzer, Yaakov builds the shiftei kah, which is the foundation of Klal Yisrael, the building blocks of Klal Yisrael. Each shevet has a specific chelek in the bria, whatever. It's all these things. There's the 12 shotim are connected, the 12 chadashim, which it's all mitzias. The point is that Klal Yisrael, each shevet, each part is a building block of Klal Yisrael that has a chelek in the mitzias, right? The reality of the universe, right? Because they have to be mashpia on that. We're going to talk about that in a minute, right? He builds shiftei kah, right? Then that develops into shivim nefesh. Shivim nefesh is obviously a reference to the shivim umot ha'olam. That's pashut, right? And that's because, again, we're going to see this in a minute, very much so, that the point of Klal Yisrael is that they should have a place on the world stage. Right? They have to have a place on the world stage. So Mamela, they develop into this core, this seed of shivim nefesh, which is called the shivim amos, and then they go down to Mitzrayim, and they develop into Klal Yisrael. Here's the Nakuda. Right? What do I mean when they have to? When I say that they go from a mishpacha to an am? Right? A mishpacha, a family, can affect and have a hashpah on its local community. When you are, a chosheva mishpacha in the community, so the fact that you're there and you're promoting, the values that you stand for, and you sort of live in the community and you live in your surroundings with your values, so that creates a hashpah on the people around you, right? And that's super choshev. Right? You're not really affecting anybody in China, though. You can't really do that because you're just one family. Right? And if you were to go to China, then you'd lose the hashpah that you are over here. That means that a mishpacha can only affect its local surroundings. Right? That's what you can do, and that's super chashuv. Don't get me wrong, right? That's critically important. Right? That's called your tafkid as a yochid, right? Your tafkid as a yochid is to be mashpia on the people around you, and that's 100% chashuv. But in terms of Klal Yisrael, HaKadosh Baruch Hu requires more than that, because the whole world has to come to a tikkun, right? V'taken olam b'malchut Shaddai, right? As the pasuk says, right? That's where we're going towards, right? That you should see that the whole world, right? B'yomahu yeh Hashem echad u'shmo echad, right? And that means that the entire world has to speak kvod shamayim. So to have a hashpah on the world stage, you need to be an am. You need to be a klal, right? And that's why Klal Yisrael has to be an am. Right? So Mamela, right, because they have to make a play on the world stage, because they need to create a tikkun olam, right? That's what they need to do. Right? So Mamela, they have to become an am. So what happens is they go down as shivim nefesh, the seed, right? Keneged shivim umos, right? And then they go there and they develop into a nation. That's called bimtei ma'at. Right? Va'ata samcha Hashem elokecha kekochavei hashamayim larov. So why kekochavei hashamayim? Why kekochavei hashamayim? Because again, this is a reference. This is a reference again to the mahus of Klal Yisrael, that they are always kekochavei hashamayim, right? Or to the sand of the sea, right? Which is what the other thing, kechol hayam. Right? Why these things? Because why these things, dafka? Because these things, I'll put it to you like this, right? We were once in Chabura with Rabbi Moshe Shapira, and he once said to us, he doesn't understand why people have a kasha on why the universe is so massive. He doesn't, well, if the whole bria, if the whole universe is only for Klal Yisrael, and it's only for this little world, right? We're mamash like a speck of dust in the solar system. So why does there need to be such a humongous universe? So Rav Moshe Shapiro, he doesn't understand the kasha. He says such a shaila is a simon of someone that's not a maimin, right? He doesn't understand what's shver. So it's pashut. Because the Kadosh Baruch Hu wants to give you a musug of Netzach, of Ein Sof. He wants to give you a musug of Ein Sof. In other words, the Kochvei Hashamayim, there's so many of them, that it gives you a hargasha of what it means that something can go on and on and on and on and on and on and on, and for all intents and purposes, never end. That's what Klal Yisrael are. Kekochavei hashamayim, ukechol hayam. There's these things. They are finite. Of course, they're finite. Everything in the universe, in the physical world, is finite. It is finite. It's for sure finite, right? But as far as we're concerned, in terms of our hasaga, it's basically, it gives you a tam of Ein Sof, because you can't count the amount of grains of sand. You can't count the stars. You can't do it. So we say in Pesukei de Zimra, right, that he gives what's the in the Mizmor that we say in Pesukei de Zimra every day, yeah? That's that's what it's. You have to be Hakadosh Baruch Hu to be able to count them, right? In other words, it's true that it's finite, it's for sure finite, but it gives you a time of what it means at Ein Sof, because you can't count that thing. It's too many, right? That's called Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael, of course, they live in Olam Hazeh, and we have a physical body, and we live here, and we're part of Olam Hazeh, but we're connected to something that's Ein Sof. We're Kekochavei Hashamayim. That's what Rashi says at the beginning of Parshat Shemot, right? Rashi brings over there the Medrash that HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes us like the stars, Shemotziim, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Motziam and Machnisam b'mispah, that he counts them, he brings them in and out of mispah. In other words, the Nakuda here that's being expressed is that they live in a world that they're connected to something higher, they're connected to something bigger. That's what Klal Yisrael is. That they touch the Ein Sof. Right? They come down b'shivim nefesh, right? And they come down as this seed, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes them grow there into something that is infinite. Right? That's what's happening in there. Good.
According to Moshe, why is it more important for us to have a moshel that we are Netzach, the Klal is Netzach, over Hashem being Netzach? We have no mushel of what infinity means for Hashem. So surely it would be more important for us to know what Hashem is and what infinity for Hashem is.
No, it's Lav Dafka Klal Yisrael. It's Lav Dafka Klal Yisrael. Yeah, it's also a Kadosh Baruch Hu for sure. The point is that you should have a mussar. You have a tam of what something of a metziut en sofi looks like, right? Yeah, for sure. Right, and of course it's not be'emes en sofi. Let's just make that hadgasha. It's not be'emes en sofi for sure. Right, there is an end to the universe, but when you talk about something being 90 billion light years away, that's not that for you that's called en sofi. It's like, that means 90 billion light years means that you have to travel at the speed of light for 90 billion years, right? It's like it's numbers that you can't be masig those things, right? And you see that there's a mitzias like that. It's that big, right? You get HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives you a tam of what something en sofi looks like, right? Yeah, a tam, a ma'en. Yeah, so fine. All right, so, okay, let's go weiter. Vayisham legoy, and they became a nation. Obviously, again, pashut, right? So you read this, like it's obvious what's going on over here. Melamed shahay Yisrael mitzuyanim sham, right? Which they were distinctive over there. So that's obviously a reference to what Chazal say, that they didn't assimilate. They didn't become part of Egyptian culture. They didn't marry Egyptians. They didn't, there's this famous medrash that besut 4 things that they were nigal, that they didn't change their language, they didn't change their clothes, they didn't, marry out, and they didn't speak lashon hara, right, about each other. They weren't moseh, they didn't do masira to the goyim, right? This is called that they were mitzuyanim sham, right? They were mitzuyanim sham. They stayed distinct. They stayed separate to the goyim. Right, they stayed separate to the goyim. That is critical. That is critical for the binyan of what's called Klal Yisrael, because again, the whole point is that you're going to be mashpia on the world stage, which means that you have to be loyal to your values, and you have to be loyal to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and you have to be loyal to the Jewish people. You can't betray that. if you can't last here and not assimilate in Mitzrayim, so then there cannot be any Klal Yisrael, and because you have to stay within. Hen am levadad yishkonu b'goyim lo yitchashav. Right, they sit alone. Right, it's called that they sit alone because we are connected to something else. We are not like the rest of them. We don't live like them. Right, and because we're connected to something above. Right, that's what we represent. And Mamela, it was critical that Klal Yisrael Metzuyanim Sham. They were goyde atzmam me'arayis, right? That was the ikon akuda. That was the ikon akuda. They were goyde atzmam me'arayis. They didn't. Arayis is your life force, right? When you're playing with Arayis, that koach, right? You're playing with your koach of Chaim, your ability to create Chaim. The force of life itself, that's what you're dealing with over there. There, you cannot be mitchaber that to anything outside of Klal Yisrael, because to do that is to be mitchaber your life to something outside of Torah. You cannot do that, right? When you're a Jew, you can't do such a thing. To do such a thing is to betray the entire mission, right? And Mamela, right? You don't have a schus to become Klal Yisrael. So it was, Klal Yisrael did this unbelievable, incredible feat that they were slaves, and we know that the Gemara says that the natural tendency of a slave is to be shtufei zima, right? Because you have no self-identity, right? You're nothing of yourself, right? The reason, one of the big one of the big ways to be goyder from Arias is to look at the bigger picture, right? Is to understand that this is an important thing. This is a critically important koyach. It's where the bris is. It's where it's where my family is going to come from. And when you look at the bigger picture and you think that this is an incredible koyach that you've been given, that you can actually create life, right? And there's a huge tachlis in that. So that's something that allows you to be goyder from Arias. But when you're an Eved and there is no tachlis, you're batel to somebody else's tachlis, right? So an Eved, he doesn't have any purpose for himself, right? That's so Mamela, it's incredibly difficult when you're an Eved the simon of an Eved is that he's shtufei zima, because he doesn't have anything to live for. So right? So Mamela, so Klal Yisrael, they were able to be goyder the atzmam me'arayis is unbelievable. It's an incredible thing, but it was critical for them. He actually, Rabbi Yitzchak Isaac here, just Derech Agav, he brings over here. He says something unbelievable. I don't have a musig of what this means, right? But it just shows you the depth in which the Avos were operating, right? He basically says that what Klal Yisrael did there was be'etzem superhuman. It wasn't shaykh, that they were able to lisha'er mitzuyanim, and he said the reason the sort of the koyach that they had to be able to withstand such a thing came from the fact that Avraham Avinu was Noilad Yitzchak, who was the first of Klal Yisrael when he was 100 years old, and it was batel ta'avato. So you can take from that what you want, right? But it just shows you the depth and the unbelievable level that the Avos were operating on. Nothing that they did was stum. Everything, as the Ramban says, was Maisa Avos Simun Labonim, right? And this was how they operated, right? So it's a big limit for us when we learn the Chumash to realize who we're dealing with, right? And that fact that Yitzchak was born in that matzav, right? That was the thing that gave Klal Yisrael this superhuman koach to remain mitzuyanim sham, and that was critical for them to build themselves as Klal Yisrael, because they're going to go and work on the world stage now, and they have to remain loyal. They have to remain loyal to the mission, so they have to stay separate. Hen ad levadad yishkon. That's not a b'di'eved. That's a lechatchila. Right? That's part of what it means to be a Jew. Weiter. Gadol v'atzum.
Has it got anything to do with? Sorry, has it got anything to do with Yosef Atzadik as well? This was the mid of Yosef Atzadik.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Did he give them a koyach as well?
Could very well be. Right. It says that about Yosef, that he's what's it called? He was Ali Shur. He was he was an Ben Parat Yosef. It says that for sure. Right? He brings Yitzchak. Yeah, Yitzchak is for sure a hashpah on the whole of Klal Yisrael, though, because he's one of the others. Right? Yosef has a sort of semi-status as an Av, right? That's why he has Ephraim and Menashe. He's a shevet, but he also has a chatzi chelik of an Av as well. But yeah, fine. Right? So בסדר, right? שמלמד שהי ישראל מצוינים שם. גדול עצום, כמו שנאמר, ובני ישראל פרו וישרצו וירבו ויעצמו במאוד ותמלא הארץ אותם. So they were part of they became gadol atzum, massive, right? They were yishretzu, right? Which that's a remez to all of the midrashay Chazal, which means that the birth was a superhuman birth. It was a lamayla min teva dika birth, right? There was 6 bekeres echad. There's even one shita in the Medrash that says shishim bekeres echad. It was something. The point was that it was something superhuman. It was something lamayla min teva. Right? It was something not natural, right? And that's because you were right? Because what you're building here is an that doesn't operate within the confines of Teva. They operate within the realm of Hashgacha Pratit. They operate within the world of Havaya, right? That they speak and live directly with Hakadosh Baruch Hu b'chvado b'atzmo, and therefore the binyan of that is elamayla dika Teva dika binyan, right? That's what was happening over there, right? So no, you know what? I'll speak about that in the next one, right? So V'rav, right? And here's the end, right? The last pasuk, the last part, right? Of darshaning this pasuk. V'rav. There were many. K'mo shene'emar, Rav v'katzemach hasadeh natatich. I made you massive. V'tarbi v'tagdili v'tavoi ba'adei adayim. Right? You grew and you became mekushat, right? The Shadaim, right, and they grew and they matured. The Se'arech tzimech, and your hair grew. Va'ata orom va'ariyah, but you were naked. Va'avo alayich va'erek mibosid v'damayich va'omelach v'damayich chayi va'omelach v'damayich chayi. And I saw you, in your blood, which is a reference to the omelach v'damayich chayi va'omelach v'damayich chayi, which Chazal say is a reference to the dam of the korban and the dam of the bris, which is what got them out, right? So let's talk about this pasuk for a minute. Right? So whereas in other words, the thing that's being expressed here is that Klal Yisrael reached its shleimus, which is shishim ribo. Right? It reached shishim ribo. Why shishim ribo? So the Maharal explains this in Gvuras, in Gvuras Hashem at the beginning prokim there. He explains what's the significance of shishim ribo. So the nakuda here is that, again, and I'm saying I keep coming back to this, but again, you see that this is the theme of what the Baal Haggadah wants to paint to us over here, that Klal Yisrael now have to be able to be mashpia on the entire world, right? They have to have a place on the world stage. So it explains the Maharal that the number 6 always represents the 6 ksavot, right, which is the north, south, east, west, and up, down, which is the 6 dimensions of Metzius, right, of reality itself, right, and that's why 7 is always Shabbos, right, because it's the Nekuda HaEmtza'it, right, that everything is novea from, right. This is famous raid that he speaks about everywhere, right. But the point here is that shesh, right, shesh means 6 means Metzius. It's a remez to Metzius, to reality, right? To all of the facets of reality, all of the sides of reality, and each number, the numbers it's a shleimus in each darga of number, right? Which in the Torah there's 10, hundreds, thousands, and rivavot, right? Those are the 4 units of numbers. Why each one of those is Eloah and Yan Shelanu Achshav, right? That's not our thing right now, right? But there are these 4 numbers, right? So in other words, there's a shleimus in Metzius in every darga of Mispah, right? So in other words, the point here is total shleimus, right? That's the nakuda, right? And it's a shleimus that can be mashpia on reality itself, right? It's every darga of reality, right? Whether it's the shish ksavot and the numbers, everything is swallowed up in Klal Yisrael, and that's also Yud Beis Shvatim, which is the zman, right? There's the Magal Zman. All of these things are contained within Klal Yisrael because their whole tafkid, right, is to be marbe kvod shemaim on the world stage, on the whole of reality. They have to make that kvod shemaim should speak in the entire Metzias. And Memela, they have to contain with them the seeds of the entire Metzias. And that's what it means, by the way, Shadaim Nechonu, right? That they were developed, right, with Shadaim, right? Which is, which means Hashpa'ah. Shadaim always means Hashpa'ah. That's where the baby nurses from, which is where the mother gives life, right, and is mashpia to the tinok, right? That's what Shadaim means, and the reason why it's being expressed, Klal Yisrael are being expressed here, was that they were now ready, because they became Shishim Ribo. They're now ready to be mashpia. They're ready to give from their life to the world stage, right? That's what it is. That's what Klal Yisrael are there to do. Right? They have to be mafarnasim, right? They have to be mafarnasim to the olam, right? But they're aron v'ariyah. They're naked. That means that they haven't got the Torah yet. But that was the point. The point was that there should be a klal, there should be shishim ribo, that they're now the clay kibble to come out and be makabel the Torah, right? That's what that means. Okay, that's. Yeah, all right. We'll leave that for now. But fine, right? But that's what it means, right? The Klal Yisrael were totally developed, and they now are ready to be mashpia. Right? They're ready to be mashpia on the world. They're ready to be mafarnes the entire metzias, all aspects of reality. They're ready to be mafarnes, right? And they needed a schus, right? We'll come more to that later. But that's the dam korban pesach and dam mila. Right? Dam always represents life, which means that it's your metzias, it's your life force, right? And these things, the korban pesach, I don't want to get too much into korban pesach. We'll get to that, what the korban pesach represents, more at the end when we get to Rabban Gamliel. But just in terms of Mila, because we're not going to get into Mila later, right? Mila, everybody knows, on the 8th day, L'mayla min hateva, which is obviously the message over here, right? It also represents Hashkocha Protis, which is the Nakuda, right? In other words, the Orla always represents a cover over, right? Orla is a covering over of your life force, right? In other words, there's a hefsik between you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? And the Mila is removing of the Orla. That's why HaKadosh Baruch Hu always also in Sefer Dvarim, when he makes the Haftachot, Hisarti mimchem orlat psarchem, right? That's what the pasuk says. Orla always represents a hefsik, and Mila represents hashkacha pratis, that there's no hefsik, there's a direct connection between you and the makor of Chaim, which is HaKadosh Baruch Hu, obviously, right? And that's what Mila represents. That's why also, by the way, that it says that a moshech olato, right, which is that someone that reverses his bris, he loses his chelek l'olam haba, because that makes him ois Yisrael, right? That makes him outside of Klal Yisrael, because Klal Yisrael's whole metzias is that they live in this world of hashkacha pratis, right? And a guy that does that, he rejects that, right? He doesn't want that, right? He doesn't want to be part of that way of living. And maybe he loses chelek l'olam haba, right? That's what Mila represents. Mila represents hashkacha pratis, living l'mayla min hateva, living on that darga with God, living in the world that you're directly talking to Him. So here, that's the first pasuk, right? That's the first pasuk. The first stage is Klal Yisrael being sent down to Mitzrayim, forced because they had to be there, because that was part of the Tachlis Abriya, that there should be a nation that is representing God, right, and bringing the olam as a whole to its tikkun. There should be kvod shemaim in the whole Metzius should scream kvod shemaim, Bayom Yeh Hashem echad u'shmo echad, and there needs to be a nation that is going to be the protagonists of that story, of that agenda, and that has to be Kosos. So they're forced to go down there. Right? They don't sink into Mitzrayim. They go to a place that is total non-surah, and there they develop, and they develop in a lomaylam in a tevadik way. Right? They stay loyal to their values and to each other. Right? Because that's what they need to be. They need to remain Am Levadad Yishkom, and they grow and grow and grow until they become this nation that is kolel in it all of the Metzius itself, and now they're ready to be mashpia on the world stage, and they're ready to come out now. Now they're ready to come out. Yeah, that's the development of Klal Yisrael in Mitzrayim. That's the first pasuk, and tomorrow we'll do the shibud, and maybe we'll manage to do also the hishtadlus as well. We'll see. All right, that's what I wanted to cover today. Okay.